Do business, act business. Business matter. That's the business. Business matter. That's the business. Business matter. That's the business. Business matter.
The Nigerian economy is definitely in need of credit. This obviously will help us to be able to boost our production. By so doing, jobs as well as a better life system for our population will become our daily experience. Welcome to Business Matters. My name is Stephen Ipalabo Lawson.
Business matter.
Research and data shows the fact that the credit penetration rate in Nigeria is still very low. There is a need for government as well as private sectors to work together to ensure how we shore up a lot of this figure. That way, we will have a better business environment. Let us have our business update.
Business matter.
Hey, beautiful. Your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight. Now reading page 3. Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
Business matter.
It's our culture on Business Matters to invite a professional who is very distinguished in a given field to help us explore the topic of the day. Let's have a professional segment.
Business matter.
With me in the studio is no other person who is an indefatigable professor of credit management with a strong passion for knowledge impartation. He is a professor who holds a bachelor's, master's, as well as doctorate degrees, inclusive of professional qualifications in credit management. A founding CEO of many flourishing credit industry institutions, namely the prestigious Nigeria Postgraduate School of Credit and Financial Management, Registrar CEO of the Institute of Credit Administration, Nigeria's only national body for credit management. Is also Director of Credit Business Services Global Limited, which provides independent credit report on companies. Is also Director of the highly regarded UK, which is the United Kingdom's Nigerians London Business Forum, as well as CBS Credit UK Limited. Is no other person than Professor Chris Onalo. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Well, it's always amazing because we're looking at the impact of credit administration on economic development. And we know Nigeria itself has gone through a whole cycle of economic ups and downs. However, we recognize that data has obviously, or research has reflected that credit penetration in the country is a little bit far from what it ought to be. And we know of recent that Nigeria's ease of doing business, one way or the other, has helped us, climb up to a higher ranking. And so we are looking forward to the fact that business itself is going to be obviously dynamic. However, for the benefit of our viewers and also for my own education, what does credit management or credit administration entail?
Oh, well, thank you very much. Your topic is quite apt, the impact of credit management or administration on the economy so far, and your description of how the economy has fared so far is quite succinct. Let's look at it, what it is from the elementary point of view, at least to satisfy you and your audience. I think a condition of a country or a state of a country in terms of production and consumption of goods and services and supplies of money amount to the economy. Now, Nigeria is a big country with so many population. Of course, the size of the population of people determine the volume of economic condition that should be working every day. But unfortunately for us, the people has not reflected in terms of their life on the economy that we have so described. And you could see very gradual, slow penetration of credit, which we consider to be the engine of economic growth. That if a credit is deployed into this kind of economy that we have described, don't forget three main factors: production, consumption, and supplies of money. Now, this is targeting at people, not animals. But the people, if you relate the population of people to the impact the economy should have on the life of the people in terms of consumption, production, and the supply of money, you found out that, obviously, Nigeria could be seen as a poor country, because production is low, and because production is low, consumption is hard to come by. So there are a lot of people, more in number, who are not actually consuming what they should consume, and also the producer of those items that needed to be consumed are producing at very low capacity. And so you have a big problem there. The big problem, how does it translate into the growth of credit? Because the production is low, credit penetration will be also very low. The tendency to borrow money, for example, from financial institutions in order to fund the production process becomes very low. And so you have very low credit available in the country compared to the size of the country, compared to the need for consumption, compared to the money supply system. As we speak, the money supply system is also very low. You don't have enough, I don't have enough in my pocket, but I wish I could have. But what could give me in place of a physical money supply system, it could be credit. So if I come to you to buy something on credit because you are producing within your full capacity, and you are not the only producer anyway, you still have a lot more producers that are competing within themselves in the marketplace. And the beauty of that is that you are going to have avalanche of product and services, well packaged, very attractive for human need. And then you will have no choice than to sell on credit. And because of the population of the people, over 200 million, for example, you would like to produce and see your product going far and wide to all of these people, Nigerians. So you found out that the credit accessibility, the credit scale in terms of growth is so low because there are other factors that are dragging credit from growing.
Do we say the purchasing power of the average population, for example, must be a factor that should be considered? Because, that also still falls within the GDP of the country. Because if I don't have a very high purchasing power, obviously the credit system in the country itself will be affected, isn't it?
Yeah, but the purchasing power doesn't come to play in this case because you wish to have more money to be able to buy. The more money you have, the more access you have to good things of life.
True. And
then for you to have bigger money in your till, the economy, the producers must be seen to be much more in number in every sector of the economy producing. And because they are producing unstoppably, you are most likely going to have a situation where they would want you. There are 2, 3, 4 employers that would want you because they want to keep the tempo of production. And because of that, you now stand a chance of saying, you want to have me, pay more, pay more. Give me, my remuneration should be much more. So the bigger your salary, the more obvious you have access to the good things of life.
No, but is this not typical of economics that are advanced? Because we know, for example, in the United States or in Europe, credit access is just part of the buzzword of everyday living, and that's because perhaps maybe their dollar is very strong enough to guarantee against whatever friction or challenges that they have, and then there is a proper database. So if you falter in terms of your credit, that affects even when next you're going to have access to credit.
No,
is that not peculiar to the
No,
system?
on the contrary. In the United States, in the UK, in developed countries where credit flourishes, it started with massive production.
Okay. So
So
what I'm getting to understand
Yes.
is for credit to be very versatile in any economy,
Yes.
it hinges on production.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because the production to feed your people, for example, you don't need to import food. We have massive land mass, fertile land that are good for agriculture. And then you have stimulant, policy stimulation that point at the agricultural sector, that there are huge opportunities there. And so food are produced so big in quality and quantity that we don't have problem feeding ourselves. And because it is much more, there is tendency on the part of these producers, to begin to export the food produced in Nigeria, to other countries. The same thing in other sectors of the economy. So when you have production, which is, of course, a policy issue that government will say, okay, we're going to allow massive production of what are the things that are Nigerian-oriented. For example, we said everything is in this country. Textiles, furnitures,
Food.
you can, Ajokota still, complex
Still moribund as the case is,
moribund as
right?
it is, and we know that it holds a trigger that if Ajokota, project is completed, Osogbo Steel Mill completed, just and the rest of them, they have tendency to create sub-markets where we can now produce a refrigerator, we can produce aeroplane, we can produce those things that are fall out of those, production by those organizations. So the economy becomes very, very robust by itself. And then you begin now to think of, oh no, we don't have to. The producer themselves will not say, if you come to my showroom, you got to come with cash. And then, of course, people will boycott such institution to say that, oh, well, I'm being offered credit, and you are saying I need to
Come with cash.
Come with cash. Forget it.
I have a better deal with credit.
I have a better deal with credit. So you better lock down your machine, waiting for cash people to come and carry before you turn up. Of course, employees will leave that place.
True.
Of course, you're not going to be able to smile to the bank all the time, because the beauty of credit economy is that people are looking to buy against their income, which is to say, pick whatever item you can pick now and pay for it at the end of the month. So people are most likely going to queue up for their
Will
product.
be employees.
Exactly.
People who have the jobs.
And then the credit helps the manufacturer to tune on their machinery. I mean, their factory all the time.
All the time.
There's no time the machinery is shut down. How does that impact on the economy? It means that goods and services are produced and thrown into the market every day, and is going beyond the local market. This is exactly the practice of the developed countries. So there is not a magic; it is a policy issue. And most time, I don't like criticizing the government, but I like to provide a solution.
Better.
To that. It's not about criticism, it's not about castigation, but it's about, look here, this country is the only thing we all have. And we have to be like other countries. We have to be a destination for other nationals in other parts of the world to come in. People said, why should the government be borrowing? We are now becoming a borrowing country. Yeah.
Every country
You
borrows.
cannot be a country if you don't borrow.
Even the United States.
If you don't borrow, then the credibility of your government is at stake. How do I know you are an honest person? How do I know you are sincere? How do I know you are committed to development? How do I know you are thinking about what you are doing, what you are out for? Go and take money from anywhere in the world, and then all eyes are on you to see whether you are going to comply or not. So are you a person of honesty? Integrity is not written on anybody's face. Honesty is not written on anybody's face. It's the process of honoring obligation. So credit is a lifestyle.
We're going to go on a short break, viewers. As soon as we're back, we are going to ask our Prof. Two more questions that will help us understand and appreciate the importance of credit administration on Nigeria's economic development. Please stay tuned.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G.
Entel. Live more.
Thank you for joining us. This is Business Matters, and we are looking at the topic, the impact of credit administration on economic development. And with me in the studio is no other person than Professor Chris Onalo. He has been telling us so much about the importance of credit. And sir, before we went to that break, we've looked at the broad spectrum of the impact of credit and how credit obviously aligns along production, which means that we as a people must begin to embrace production to an extent that it becomes our way of life. However, you made mention of a fact earlier on that, for example, in case of trade credit, there are issues where the manufacturer has actually conducted a due process. And I know in this climb, we hear of the word credit bureau. Is that part of the task of the credit bureau to also undo those kinds of processes, as well as creating credit reports that can help? What exactly is the difference? How do we appreciate the value of all of those services?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning credit report. Again, the same misconception, that we have all around us, actually. And I have no big problem with that. We are a developing, country, and people generally are getting to learn new things that actually, constitute the heartbeat of any developed, economy. So we are learning gradually. But my problem with the elites is that if you have known something, then live by it. That's the quickest way we can create that awareness and education to people. Don't conceal it. Don't behave as if it's never happening. The credit bureau generally is an arrangement where normally by the players in their own industry, it shouldn't be an interventional thing, which in this case of Nigeria, the CBN came and developed credit bureau thinking for the banking industry. In other words, for the bankers themselves. Ordinarily, those are the things that the bankers themselves will come up with. But in the absence of someone there is not thinking about it, the focus is money coming in and all that. And then we saw that as money was coming in and the banking sector, they were giving out that money to those who don't have it. There was a massive leakages. The money wasn't forthcoming, which necessitated the formation of credit bureau. Principally, credit bureau is to be seen as a black spot where nobody's name would like to be dragged into. We call it in credit management a repudiational mechanism. It repudiates your reputation the moment your name is dragged into credit bureau. Credit bureau, by that expression, is simply a place where if you default in credit, you are trapped there. You can't jump from one place to the other, under any guise without being trapped. And if you are tracked down there, then you can't have access to credit as far as that sector of the economy is concerned.
But can somebody also get out of?
You can, yeah, of course, there's exit. There is in and out.
Okay. So it's not a case of your name is on the black list.
No. There's in and out. No, there's in and out. Okay. If your name is in, there's what we call in credit management, credit repair.
Okay.
So, that sector hasn't yet come up.
Oh.
But we seem to be doing the two in one. So if your name is pushed into the credit bureau as a result of defaulting credit, then by the time you clean up, then the credit bureau will delete your name, or not that the name will be deleted, your name will be there, but it will constitute your credit history. That at some point you defaulted in credit, and then your name was reported to it, and you cleared up, and then your name, that red flag was removed from your name.
I don't want to let you go without asking this particular question,
Yeah.
because earlier on we've looked at the role of SMEs.
Yes.
How SMEs in other climes are seen as the engine of ensuring that the economic wheel keeps turning. But in this climb, we seem to have a whole different tale or different story with regards to how we treat SMEs.
Yeah.
And I know earlier on you and I had mentioned about the fact of credits with regards to SMEs. I mean, I'm serving a big multinational or a big manufacturing company as an SME, and then I'm expected to have certain kinds of benefit. Do you think the SMEs themselves need to rise up to make certain demands, especially with regards to this?
Well, SMEs in Nigeria, perhaps in Africa, don't have credible voice. The only thing we talk about for SME is that they don't have access to credit. And then on the other side of SME is that even if you give them credit, they have passion to committing that fund to non-production, engagement. Well, I think those stories are getting decayed. They're no longer standing the test of time, because the reality of the economy around the world is that you can start from your bedroom and become a conglomerate. The SME themselves have one biggest problem, and nobody seems to be addressing that, except recently the Board of Fellows of the Institute of Credit Administration. We are developing a blueprint to tell the stakeholders that, look here, multinationals, conglomerate, blue chip companies, banks, big company, high-fly companies do not owe SMEs. If SME supplies you whatever items you give them LPO for, do not subject them to your own internal payment policy system. Your policy system may be saying, come from the date you submitted your invoice, come end of the month, 30 days we pay you. 60 days will pay you, 90 days
some
will pay
90
you.
as a matter of fact.
90. I mean, this is another big problem that SME do not know how to rescue themselves out of it. Why not have a deliberate policy for SMS in terms of payment of their invoice? Tell them from the first day to the 14th day, their invoice must be paid. Because they must have borrowed that money from their friends or from their hard-earned savings to be able to supply that goods. And you are now saying, no, we won't pay you until this amount of days expired.
That's kind of cruel,
You
in my
are,
opinion.
you are undermining their business growth.
Oh,
You are adding more problem to their existing problems. And so we want to see multinational from the basically social corporate responsibility. I mean, when we talk of corporate governance, you are expected to be fair to all parties. You don't take advantage. So do not owe them. Once they supply, 14 days, pay them. Multinational, conglomerate, blue chip company, banks, big companies, you just have to have a definite policy towards SM, because they constitute the largest employer of labor.
I want to say a big thank you very much, Professor Onalo. You've done well in helping us understand so much about the importance of credit, and I hope that the country, especially with regards to that which benefits SMEs, will be taken and pushed in the forefront so that we can have a much more diversified and versatile economy. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Business Matters.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, this is so much we can take for you with you on Business Matters. Please stay tuned. Business Matters continues.
Business matter. Let's talk business. Business matter.
Credit administration or credit management is a very important aspect of the economy. It is also very key for us to be able to create a business environment where credit must always trump cash. The SMEs themselves are a very important aspect of our economic story. It is high time for us to begin to appeal to both multinationals, conglomerates, blue chips, and high-flying companies to certainly, definitely also create accessible credit penetration, so to speak, for the SMEs. in order for them to be able to be in business and also contribute their quota to the GDP and the economy. This is so much we can bring to you on this week's edition of Business Matters. Please follow us on all our social media handles as well as explore our website. My name is Stephen Ipalobo Lawson. Until I come your way again, bye-bye for now.